What's up, Purist? It's Bob from Purist Motorsports. We're gonna get this thing prepped to wash. What do we mean by that? Let's talk about it. I wanna talk to you about prepping to wash the car. Now I know if you're like me, I'm ready to put this thing through a bath to see how it would turn out. You can check out the previous video on it and talk about what it is. It's a 1989 Saleen that has been sent to us to be refurbished, as the owner has put it. It is going through detox with no rehab required. So anyways, I want to talk about this car because in a sense, there's a lot of cars that people find and they've been sitting or they've been sitting outside, and especially in this case, this car is in great shape and it looks dusty. However, when you dig a little bit deeper, you can see that there was leaves and debris, and obviously there's been a few little friends, furry friends if you want to call them, get into there and eat the acorns and that kind of stuff. And I think it's really important when you're working on something like this to go through and remove what you can before you put water on it. And here's why. A car like this, when you've got debris that's down in, say, the cowl area or in the engine bay or in other places in the car, that the issue is that the drain holes will end up getting clogged up. Now, this car had a lot of debris in the cowl. While I'm going through and undoing all that which nature has put in it since it's been sitting for a while, I'm removing it while it's dry, vacuuming it out, as you can see. And that, one, provides, I guess, a safe washing later on so that that debris does not get lodged, or worse, gets wet and travels further down the drain and ends up staying wet. And then later on, it would even, I guess, turn into breaking down the paint, turning into rust, that kind of thing. So it's avoiding any future issues by going through and vacuuming this. The other thing that it does is that it lets me go through, as I'm taking this car apart and vacuuming it out, I'm inspecting the common areas for rust, which even on a Fox, just like the first gen cars, the air intake, where for the HVAC, the air intake is an area where debris gets lodged and it can rust. Luckily, this car only has a little bit of dirt and a slight bit of surface rust, which you would probably find on most any car that has been driven. I think a lot of places online, and I want to say even some of the shows, they'll start and they'll just throw a pressure washer at it, just whoosh. And I'm not comfortable doing that because I want to make sure I'm not, one, pushing dirt in a place that it's not going to come out, two, it's not going to cause issues down the road for the owner, three, it gives me a chance to inspect the car. Like, I have found a couple of wire looms. I'll show you. And luckily this is just for the aftermarket stereo, but as you can see right there, that's not something that's worn through, that's eaten through. If you look at that, that's eaten. So it's important because it will give you a chance to look over the car like that. Before I start this car, I want to go through and check all of that, make sure the wiring's in good shape and that there's not anything that's been chewed through. So it's important. The other thing is that in discussion with the owner, I'm removing some things from the car. It had a nitrous system on it. Thankfully, the owners who put that in, they did a great job. They mounted the bottle to a piece of plywood that was put in, and the only thing that they ended up cutting up was the back carpet, which can be found. They didn't drill holes through the floor, which is great. They even used an existing grommet to run the nitrous line to the front. It actually still has probably a bottle that's half full. And it's so tempting to go use that on something you don't care about. But it still had a half a bottle or more in it. And we're removing that from the car. It had an old Excel spark ignition. Removing that from the car, and all the associated wiring and hoses and that kind of stuff. So kudos to them for doing it what I would consider the safe way of not just going and drilling holes in the car. So many of these cars were hacked up over the years, and this one thankfully has been left alone as far as the sheet metal. I'm sure you're anxious like me to see this thing all cleaned up and see how well it shines, but I think we just need to go through and take it slow and methodically go through things before we get it. I mean, I even found acorns and debris down in the header that was lodged down below. So yeah, that, I don't know, potential or for it to catch on fire probably if it's anyways, with leaves and that kind of stuff, because I've actually seen that up at the Dragon where guys are running through that road and they end up pulling over in the fall and forget that their exhaust might be hot or even red hot, and their car go up in flames. It's something that I guess you just don't think about, but I want to make sure we're going through this like we're supposed to make sure it's going to be ready to start up and it's a safe thing to start up. So the big thing is to making sure you're not going to push debris down into the drain holes and it not be able to get out, and then water can't get out, and then of course it becomes a big challenge. So I just wanted to give you all that tip and then show you the nitrous system, which is pretty awesome, and the ignition system. That's totally, well, I mean, that was it still is kind of the cheap way to go fast, right? It's well, I mean, it's awesome. This one was just a 2-stage kit, which is great. But as I always say, whether you're driving them or restoring them, always enjoy them. Peace.